This week on Angelo's Workbench, we are finishing up the AMT 1997 Mustang Cobra, coming up right now. Don't forget to check out in my description the link to hobbynutmodels.com. So I'm getting ready to install the taillights. That's the last thing that has to be done before we can mount the body to the chassis. And I'm looking at the lights and I'm thinking that we just need something a little bit silvery or shiny on the back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lights in first. And then once I get the lights all in there, and they just literally pop in like that. Once I get the lights in there, then I might go in with a little bit of silver Sharpie on the inside, and we'll see how that does. It doesn't need to be super shiny behind there, just a little bit. So now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of putting a little bit of glue on that little space there in between the lights, and then I can go in and pop. I gotta make sure I get the lights right here. Then I can just go in and pop that light into there like that. And then the same thing with this one here. Make sure I get them the right way. So yeah, it was just a little bit fiddly, and there was in fact a little bit more flash that I had to clean out of the hole, but now I've got the tail lights in there. And so now to get just a little bit of metallic highlights in the back, I'm just going to go in behind the brake lights and put a little metallic silver on there. I'll do one side. And now we'll look at the difference. You can see this side is a little bit darker, but it doesn't make a tremendous amount of difference. I suspect if we put a little bit of a light up to it, it would be a little bit easier to see. But now I'll do the other side just because. And you could have used bare metal foil. You could use Molotow chrome pen. I don't think there would be a tremendous amount of difference in my opinion. But I do want a little bit of a silver background. And now I've got it. So there goes those lights. So now that those lights are mounted in, now we can move forward with mounting the body onto the chassis. Then it's going to be wheels and tires and final assembly, and this is going to be done. So come on back. Now that I have installed the taillights, now it's a point of putting the body on. And this is the part where historically I always used to kind of hold my breath because it was difficult with kits of old back in the day, but recently things have gotten better. However, this being an older kit, and as fiddly as some parts of this have been, I am a little concerned. The only thing they give you in the instructions is basically an arrow that shows you putting the chassis in. And in the verbiage they give you here, carefully spread the sides of the body and place over the chassis. And that's pretty much all they give you. So we're going to go for it. So basically, we just want to mate these two together. And I'm going to try and watch as I do it. And it does seem to be as simple as just giving that a... Now that broke something loose. Wasn't the glass. Okay, well we're just going to go. And we're just going to see if it drops in there. Go on. And again, sometimes this is a trial and error thing, especially with these older kits. I can see where the front suspension is going to line up and go into that gap right there. I can see where the rear wants to pop in the sides here. And it is definitely a tight fit. There's no doubt about that. Okay. I can't tell you how many times in the past when building models that I've had to take it apart after I get it on and re-glue something. I'm hoping that isn't the case this time. And so this is actually going quite well. Right now I'm trying to slide it forward a little bit because I want to get that back section in. I feel like once I get that back section in that we will be a lot better off. I just need to pry a little here. There we go. Not with too much pressure, just a little bit. Oh, and there we go. And there goes that. And there goes that. And now I can see that rear exhaust is a little wonky. So that went well. My front suspension isn't really lining up properly. And so it isn't sitting in here at the correct ride height from the body. I'm just kind of bending it into place. And that looks okay. And I might have to do a little glue action in there. But there it is. That's not bad. And I do see that this exhaust needs to be repositioned somehow. I'll come up with that because it is not supposed to look like that. So, but that should be easy enough to do. And everything appears to be okay. We survived. So the engine looks so good in that engine bay. It's just stuffed in there. There's a lot of motor in there. So now I'm at a point where we're gonna put this aside and say, "Yay, we did it!" and move on to final assembly and correcting a couple of things. I want to correct how these shocks are sitting so that I can get them to move up into the wheel well a little bit more. Because I think that this is going to give me, and we'll see when we put these on. It seems to be almost a correct ride height. I might have to lower this a little bit just to make it look a little better. But and I think I am definitely going to go with the factory ones at this point. But anyway, so there it is. We were successful in getting the body on, and we'll move on to final assembly. So we're doing some more work on the Mustang here. I'm going to work on some decals. There are decals for under the hood, in the engine compartment. The instructions are very, it's a very subtle where it tells you to put the decal. They're not really called out for very obviously in the instructions. You got to dig. You got to look. You have to read every word of every step, because here's decals 3 and 4 on the battery, and then all the way down here it says decal number 2 goes there. So we're going to get started with the decals. I'm going to start putting those on, and I will bring you right back. So my decals have been moistened and loosened. I'm going to get just a little bit of mark fit to help me out here, because I'm not, they're old decals. So decal number 1 is this big one right here, and he goes right on the reverse side of the hood at the front here. So I'm just going to plop him right in there. Get him going. A nice little bit of added realism to have a nice, you know, they always have these underhood instructions. I don't know, I wouldn't call them necessarily instructions, but information. Usually it's stuff to do with emissions or maybe the belt routing, or who knows. I've never actually, I don't know if I've ever actually read any of that stuff. So then we have the battery, which gets some decals. So I'm just going to put, again, a little bit of mark fit here and here. And it's number 3 and number 4 going on here. Probably stuff like, don't drink the battery acid. It's kind of funny. I was reading on the internet, I saw a meme recently, and it said something to the fact that, you know, modern day instructions on stuff warn you not to eat the fluid that is poisonous, and then old time instructions told you how to adjust the valves, you know. So clearly there's a generational difference between levels of understanding of things. I mean, we just I don't know if we were born with the knowledge or we were just taught
how to adjust valves and stuff of that nature. And then kids nowadays, they're more into tech. And I watch my granddaughter manipulate her iPad and use her iPad. And she's 3. And she's easily just as good as I am with that thing. It's kind of funny. But, yeah, things change. So we've got some decals here, and I'm not liking how those came out. This one just seems to not want to go where the instructions say it is supposed to go. So I think potentially I have them reversed. So I'm going to move this one up here and this one down here. I was working on some carburetors on this workbench, and I used these tweezers for a purpose other than needed, other than you're supposed to, and now they don't quite work so well. But that's my fault. All right, so I'm just going to leave that on there and let that kind of soak up. And then number 2, it calls for installing right here on this side. So we'll get a little bit more mark fit. We get a little decal fluid there. And let's find a home for this. It adds a lot of realism to the kit when you have these underhood decals. Revell in recent years has significantly extended their decal range. And the kits have benefited. They're marvelous. That new Boss 351 Mustang is a decal extravaganza, and it's so much fun to build. So now I have some more decals to go. I've decided to use that license plate. We've got some Cobra logos for the fenders. We have a high-mounted brake light that I actually had to look at reference photos to find where it goes because I couldn't find it in the instructions. And then the Ford and the SVT logos also for the trunk. So we'll get these soaking and ready, and we'll come back and put them on. Okay, so I went ahead and stuck those on. There were just a few of them. We now have Cobra logos on the fenders. We have our license plate and our Ford and SVT logos on the back, as well as the rear brake light. And now we're just going to get ready to start putting some final parts on. It's basically just, you know, the air intake, the strut brace, battery under the hood, some mirrors, and a couple of parts. And this kit is done, and we'll be going to a photo slideshow very soon. Just finishing up some small things. I have added the headlights and the fog lights. They came out excellent and are going to look the part. I'm just going to do the air intake and the support bar that we have here, as well as the master cylinder that goes in there, and the battery. So we're going to stick all of that under the hood right now. And we basically just have to make sure that I'm going to have enough room, enough clearance for the this right here. I have a lot of concerns about this actually fitting. And this seems to go over this because there seems to be an indentation for it. So I'm just going to kind of stick a little glue right there. And then just kind of put that on there and then see how it goes. It apparently has to go down inside it first. Like that. Oh, my headlight just made the getaway. That was just glued literally a few minutes ago, so it's still settling. There we go. There goes our air intake. And there is pretty much no way that this support bar is going to fit in there. Not with that thing in the way. There's no way. The engine is just far too high in this mounting. And I'm going to assume that this is some type of fitment issue based on this motor mount. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, see if I can drop this engine down a little off camera, because it's just way too high. I mean, I tested it and the hood fit, and the hood does fit, but the that support bar is not going on there. That hood, that engine is up way too high. About 1/8 of an inch, which is, you know, a lifetime in a model. That's a huge size. So I'm going to see what I can do about that, and we will come back. Well, it took quite a bit of finagling, but I was able to get the cross support in there and down to where it needed to be. I just had to do a little relocating of the engine, and the hood indeed does fit, so that was a good thing. So now we're just going to, we literally just have the mirrors and the spoiler to go on here. So the spoiler kind of mounts a little funny. You wouldn't expect it to be pitched like it is. The way that this sets in here is a little funky. And there goes that. And so now it's literally just the side view mirrors, which the side view mirrors are awesome. They have such a, not only a positive mounting point, but the pins are so wide and so deep that when you put the mirror in, it literally just grabs it and sets it right in. I noticed that on my test fitting, that it just kind of just goes right in there. And there's no question that you have a positive mounting location as well as the proper angle. And there it is. And they look great. And this car looks just like it did in the 90s. Looking at it now, I'm just like, wow, this looks just like it was back then. It's a very good representation of this era of Mustang. And while the kit is a little finicky in spots, you can get through it. It just takes a little bit of patience and a little fiddling, a lot of test fitting. And now it's time for the slideshow. Well, here are the completed shots. The kit that was never supposed to be built. I call it that because when I found this kit, it was a basket case. You know, it was a $5 kit somewhere along the way. And it was missing some parts, the headlight buckets, those kinds of things. And I think that if I didn't save this kit, it would have been doomed to remain a unbuilt kit in a box forever. So I saved it, and here it is. I had a lot of fun building this kit. The motor detail is fantastic. I will caution anybody building this kit to make sure of your clearances, do lots of test fitting. There are some parts of the kit that are a little fiddly, but the result is arguably the 90s Mustang Cobra, the pinnacle of performance at the time. And it's a fun kit to build. So go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe. All of those things help me out. Also, check me out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, all under the name Angelo's Workbench. And don't forget, down in the description, a link to Hobbynut Models. Go ahead and check that out. He's got all kinds of stuff in stock over there. He's got new paints. He's got new kits. It's looking really good. Go check him out as well. I look forward to seeing you all next week.